or get value out of that through that process. And a remote provider, a telco, or another vendor, a data center operator. Those are all things we're partnering with, and all of them show the business of media moving forward. Not being on proprietary dedicated hardware, which is expensive, but on flexible, lower cost infrastructure. That's cloud.
Thank you.
To put that in context to some of you broadcasters out there, you can't perceive working with your competitors or sharing infrastructure or sharing content. How many broadcasters around the world carry the Olympics? How many broadcasters around the world carry the Premier League? You can picture it on the content owners level, where they have a content store or silo somewhere around the globe, and each of us are able to access that content rather than each of us taking it on satellite, reprocessing it, bringing the archive in on tape, ingesting the archive every year. So those are real world scenarios where you can start to see it happening. The other thing I'd just like to say about the cost of bandwidth, you know, I think we've got Al Jazeera here, Al Arabiya here, obviously Sky's here. We all have huge amounts of bandwidth, so we know how expensive it is. But I would challenge all of those other broadcasters who have huge amount of transponder space that's wasted because of the duplication of series or movies, hour after hour after hour, day after day after day, which could be delivered all in one hit to the box, which has got a hard disk in it, and they could sell that transponder space, buy more bandwidth, and virtualize.
Do you think there should be some work, collaborative work within broadcasting in the region to have, as Steve mentioned, standardization? You talk about collaboration between broadcasters. Dr. Riyad, with the ASBU, do you think some work can be done on that?
I mean, anything's possible, but I can't see it personally. But I can see it. That's not true. You have someone up here on this platform from Do later talking about a CDN and the added value that they're bringing into that. Now, multiple broadcasters may use their CDN. I think DMI are talking to them, and a few others. So then, yes, you can start to see it happening, not using each other's infrastructure, but using centralized infrastructure.
For the third party, not your competitor, you mean?
Yes.
Okay. Open the question to the floor. The mics are there.
Behind you.
Any questions?
Nick.
It's great to hear people talking about the use of metadata, so not just the technical aspects of cloud and IP solutions, but also the practical aspects. What I'm curious about, what do the panel believe are the most important metadata tags? What's the most important stuff to be harvesting in order to generate revenue?
I think I've spoken too much.
With regards to
metadata tags.
Hello, with regards to metadata tagging, I think anything and everything which you can tag in the data is required, because as much information you have in an asset management system, it helps the team who is working on the system, because we have the common tags like the genre, the type and the cast. But as much information you can put in the metadata, I think that helps the people who are connected on the network.
Is there a direct relationship with revenue that the panel can see? Because obviously a team of thousands of people tagging is pipe dream stuff. Like, we have to be surgical about this. What's the stuff that's really important?
I think, again, it depends upon what type of genre you are into. I mean, supposing if you are into a sports environment, it will differ than when you are in a news environment. News environment needs more detailed metadata tagging than if it require for a general entertainment channel. Similarly, a music channel would require a different genre of metadata tagging than it would require for a sports channel. So it depends on also the genre of the channel you're dealing with, or the genre of the content you're dealing with.
I disagree. I think it's related to tagging. I agree with you in terms of tagging as much information as possible. But the future systems that we're talking about will be looking at how content links to other content. You won't find out how content links to content unless you have the metadata tags relating to that content. Now, if I'm searching for a football player, but I don't want to know about football, using every asset management system today, I'm going to find that incredibly difficult because I'm searching on keywords.
Sure.
And the first results are going to be football. I might want to know about his wife or his charity work or whatever else. So it's the deep linking of these metadata tags. And this is what I mean by multi-dimensional metadata. It's not metadata about a clip. It's metadata about the clip, how it relates to other clips, and how it relates to its position in the system or in the world. So it's really as much metadata as possible.
Exactly, that's what I
But it
said. I mean,
has
as
to
much
be-
detailed metadata as
But
possible.
it has to be automatically generated.
Yeah, sorry, can I? Yeah, I totally agree there. Because there is this drive to enrich metadata as much as possible for different genres. It's almost impossible, particularly if you talk about the amount of legacy that's sitting on tapes. It needs to be digitised, and then you have to add metadata to that to make that a valuable asset. We need to find more and more tools that automatically turn speech to text,
recognition,
recognise graphics, faces, and all these different types of tools to make that metadata as rich as possible. And then we have to add the layer of an intelligent search layer so that you can make those links. So you can cross-reference different types of metadata and come up with a more accurate result from your search.
Any question? Muhammad?
You were talking about, which is making the broadcasters share content. Wouldn't that make you guys all the same if you're all sharing the same content? I believe that what differentiates one channel from the other is not the actual event, it's how the event is covered. So, or at least this is how I choose a channel, but if we're all going to share the content, let alone the issue of rights, if everybody has the footage of the English Premier League, then Abu Dhabi media will not pay that much for for the rights. So I really want to understand, what did you guys mean by sharing the content and put it in one server and everybody will be able to access it?
I would probably answer part of it. Out of the 1,069 channels on satellite, I think maybe 30% is original content and the others are duplicated. So a lot of output on the channels in the Middle East or around the world is duplicated content. Not
But
only run on the same channel, but also run on different
But I
series,
agree with
movies,
him.
everything.
I agree with him on a certain extent. Maybe the content is like, it's a duplicate content, is repeated. But at what time it is shown on a particular channel, I think that is more relevant. I mean, you could repeat a content after the original telecast, after which it loses the significance. And that content could be shared at some point of time.
Yeah, but the content available and used by all broadcasters, a lot of it is duplicated. Majority of it is duplicated with others and
That's
shared
what I'm
with
saying.
others.
So I think the core of the thing is, if the original one is broadcast, I think then the remaining, the duplicate ones can be shared. But I think the first broadcast, as he was rightly saying, is why would Abu Dhabi media pay so much high fee for an English Premier League?
No,
if
we're
it
not
has to be
talking
shared
about sharing
content?
the EPL, for example, hundreds, millions of dollars. We're talking about what is.
You
I
shouldn't
think-
think just about this
Let's
region
assume, forget about the APL because it's a encrypted service. So like what Mr. Ahmed Sheikh was saying this morning, he was covering what the people are suffering in Iraq, and CNN was covering air jets flying off of a aircraft carrier. So it's just I've seen it very difficult to implement even. And what about the what they call it in Arabic, السبق الصحفي, the scoop? What happen if Al Jazeera goes and they have one of their people exposing their life for danger, shooting something, and then make that available for all the channels or guys sitting at the server and just to take that and put it up on the
No,
TV
of course, there
channel?
would
But
be
we
rights
do.
management. Yeah.
News providers share content today.
This is how they monetize the content. It's not about giving the content away. It's about making more money out of it. If you sell it to another network, then you increase your revenues, and I think that's more what the sharing is all about, is increasing the revenue.
It's
also have to
the
move forward a
cost
bit.
and value balance that you're trying to do in this business. Everybody here that comes to us talks about the cost of infrastructure, the technology they have to buy. So how do they monetize the data they put on it? It depends mostly on how much am I willing to release of what I've created uniquely and share and get revenue back from that through that process When we're engaged in Australia, this example that I gave here, all these TV stations and the groups behind them have agreements about a certain percentage that they're willing to share, and that the rest they'll keep distinctively in theirs. The Al Jazeera example, 60% of the content they generate themselves. There's a cost that comes with that distinctive, unique message in the marketplace that they're willing to bear. And the 40% they source from other people that are willing to provide some of that content, it may not be unique to them, somebody else has made it. And for us, in the middle of the technology space, what we're trying to do is help provide the infrastructure necessary for you, the broadcaster, to make that evaluation. How unique am I willing to be and to spend to make that voice unique versus leverage the content from others and maybe have that be, that percentage shared, a remote site where everybody puts the content. So I don't have to go to this broadcaster and that broadcaster and do this unique transport cost that is carried with all that content. Maybe I just go to one provider and everybody is kind of star hubbed it together into one place, which reduces my transport cost, my bandwidth cost, to get the portion that I share. And then the other portion I archive, it's my distinct value, it's mine.
And don't
I
assume,
see a business model for ASBU here, Dr. Riyad.
Dr. Riyad, please.
don't assume that this is regional either. This is global. Okay,
Yeah.
we shouldn't think just small time. I mean, it happens in news all the time. It happens in sports all the time. A host broadcaster will shoot the IPL in India. They'll then sell that video and that content to Sky in the UK, Foxtel in Australia, whoever wants it. So it happens already. And the other thing is you've got to move forward a step as well and think in your mind. Broadcasters won't exist in a few years. You'll have people who own content and create content and people that consume content. And then you're just bringing the two together. And that's where the metadata comes into play, because how do you know what you're looking for?
Okay. Please, Dr. Riyad.
Thank you. Thank you. Just one comment on this issue of sharing content on cloud and what's the value of it. I think I'm sure that all the panel will agree with me and with everybody that cloud use is not only for sharing content. This is only one application that you can get out of using the cloud. But maybe I want to address a question to the panel. Why is it still that cloud computing is not being used in this part of the world for other applications? Of course, you mentioned the security issue, which is, can be refuted a little bit. Is it the lack of bandwidth? We know that cloud computing can be used in other applications like rendering, like editing, and sharing several aspects that the broadcaster can use. He doesn't need to have it in-house. So why is it you think it's still not? Is it the culture?
Yeah,
you mentioned
I'm
the
going.
culture. While I have the floor, maybe I would want to make a general comment on this issue of not being able to coordinate in different parts of our region, of the Arab world, and the GCC. And I think we still, as broadcasters, having this lack of communication. We do have some different platforms to make this coordination, basically with ASBU, which is like a pan-Arab, as we all know, union that can make this coordination in terms of all aspects of broadcasting, whether it being technical or operational or what you need. And I would really like to invite everybody in this room today to be more active in participating with the ASBU activities. And just as a footnote, tomorrow we are having the Arab High Definition Group that's being convened in this hotel. And I would want to welcome everybody to participate in that group.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, thank
Dr.
you.
Riyad, would ASBU consider creating an ASBU cloud group?
If the ASBU actually doesn't own some resources, although they do, but more of the function of ASBU is to coordinate and make things happen. If it needs, that's what it takes, ASBU will not hesitate to do it.
Yeah, I think the main system of ASBU can be considered part of a cloud server.
It is a sort of a cloud because there is a part of the application of ASBU is to store some storage some content that can be shared by members. And members are able to store and archive some of their content or the content that they are exchanging in that